Hey everybody, good morning. Good morning, morning. It's Friday. I'm Kathy Klotz-Guest. And I hope you're doing amazing this Friday. I feel like Friday we should sing. We should just have a Friday song. It's Friday! Yeah! Woo! I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to write a little jingle for my show. I'm going to have to create a little fun little opener, some kind of like original music score. I could use Ben Sound, but I really think I should sort of come up with some kind of original jingle. What the heck, right? I think that'd be a lot of fun. So happy Friday. And I know Facebook, it takes a while for people to kind of see that I'm live and stuff. So this is the part of the video where I answered questions. Last week we had a really great time. We had a really robust conversation about just storytelling in general. There were some amazing questions last week, so thank you so much for that. And this is really your time, so it's really for you guys to ask what you want to ask, and sometimes maybe see what's percolating for you. Hello, Kay. Hello. So it's really the time for viewers to ask whatever they want. I don't have any hidden agenda. I don't go into these with a list of too many things. It's really more to see what you guys are thinking about and answer any questions that you have about storytelling, comedy, improv, marketing, anything. Last week was really interesting. We did have a really meaty conversation. Hey, Mark, we had a really great conversation last week, and I was so gratified. I mean, we were talking about like storytelling to end global poverty. We were talking about storytelling for the United Way to lift people in their communities. We had it was a really lovely conversation that I think got very meaty and serious, but in a really beautiful way about helping people, and I really love that. Kay, your jingle should be titled Friday Fungasm. I like that. God, that's great. That's really cool. I should do that. I should write a song called Friday Fungasm. We'll have to work on that, but I like that. I think that works. That works. I'm liking it, Kay. I'm liking it a lot. Thank you so much. Hey, Matthew, how the heck are you? How are you? What's percolating for you guys? This is really your time again. Answer any questions that you guys have about storytelling, improv, comedy, anything. We talk about lots of stuff. People ask me how I like Facebook Live. We had a lot of conversation last week about that. So, like I say, it's really all for you guys. It's up to you guys what you want to talk about. I'll ask a question of you guys to get it started. One of the things I've been thinking about is the way that we approach newsletters today. We sort of make this assumption that everybody wants to hear from us weekly. Hey, Patrick, how are you? Oh my gosh, a fellow comic. It's so great to see. So I'm going to ask this of the community because I'm toying with the idea of taking all my newsletters and just making them videos and not necessarily text. I think sometimes marketers approach things with well, we've always done it that way attitude, and I don't think that's true anymore. I don't think that we can make any assumptions. I think we should challenge our own assumptions about things. And I'm challenging this assumption that people want text. Now, a great long-form story can go a long way, and when I've written long-form stories that have been that have hit the mark of people's interests, it tends to do well. But I'm also playing with the idea of maybe an all-video newsletter. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm just throwing it out there. So if you guys like it, let me know. If you don't like it, that's cool too. That's why we do this, is just to kind of explore, to see what's going on and what you guys might want or not want. So I think, Kay, you've got me thinking with your Friday Fungasm. I think maybe I should write a song and then see, maybe we could outsource some lyrics, or we could basically, put that to the crowdsource it and see what people think or don't think, or like it or don't like it, but that's okay. Or maybe we end up with a crowdsourced song, and then we just put like a Mad Lib. I put it out as a giant Mad Lib, and people can fill in the lyrics themselves, and we could interactively, collaboratively, in an improvisational way, come up with a song together. I think that would be kind of cool. I've never done that, but now that I'm talking about it, I think that could be really cool. So I like it. Welcome everybody. Welcome that people are joining. And again, it's Friday. Ask Kathy Anything. So You can ask me a question if you just want to comment on something. I'm here for that as well. So let me know what's on your mind. Oh, the other thing while I'm waiting, I know some people are just in view mode, and that's totally cool. On my wall, I started, Fridays are 185 days, so jump in. Feel free to finish, I think today was Tech Nerds. Tech Nerds was the 185 Tech Nerds walk into a bar. And the bartender says, I'm sorry, we don't serve Tech Nerds. And the 185 Tech Nerds say, that is a compile of crap, or whatever the tech pun. It's all pun based. So your answer is, the bigger the pun, the better. That's what we love. So you can play it here with me, or you can go to my wall. You can join in the fun there, because I love a good pun. I like big puns, and I cannot lie. I do. I like big puns. And that's just the way I'm wired. So, all right. So let me know, folks, if you got any questions or what you want to talk about. So I'll give you guys a minute. I get to, hey Juan, how are you? Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Good to have you here. I like to pause to give everybody a little chance to these are fast-moving streams on Facebook video, and I think the hard part is giving people time to, do all this stuff. All right, Kay writes, next week you'll be facilitating a 3-hour workshop about storytelling for business success for some senior people and so many possible improv games. Okay, I have so much possible information, so many possible improv, but where do I start? What are the most important points to cover? I would ask and that's a really great point, because I feel the same way. It's a great question, Kay. I sometimes feel like there's so much I want to cover, and realistically, I know that I can't. You probably already did this because you're a marketing person, and you know this. You're a fellow kindred spirit. I always try to find out ahead of time, what is it they're struggling with, and really focus it on just, if it's just 3 hours, you want to hit the highlights. Where do they feel they're struggling with it? What's not working for them? And then, or just at the very beginning of the workshop, I remind people, because you and I both know, Kay, we do this for a living, but you can send little surveys in advance, and sometimes people don't answer the questions. So when I get them live in a workshop, the very first thing I do is a reality check and say, all right, I'm here to give you the biggest bang for your buck. What are the biggest things that you struggle with? What do you want to know the most? And then and you're an improv person, Kay, so you got this covered. You know this better than anybody. I just have a couple of backup plans, and then based on where people want to focus, I go, okay, let's focus on this. Let's focus on this. Let's focus on this. And it's hard for 3-hour classes. I know, because I've done that as well. And it's very hard if I don't know the biggest things that they're struggling with, and for senior people in a bank. And what I find is that people are at different places, and you want to get that common denominator. So find out what the lowest common denominator is of understanding. Where do they think they're struggling, and start there. A lot of times I find with banks, and I've worked with banks, not a ton, but I have done a few things for banks. I find that there is a disconnect usually between what the senior people think the story is and what customers think the story is. So one way, I'm sure you'll cover this, one really important part of your workshop, which you probably already know, is making sure that they understand the story that customers are telling themselves about their banking and what their problems are. And usually, and I've done this exercise, it's really interesting, what customers say it is and what senior executives say it is usually is not in alignment. So having some kind of discovery exercise that helps them explore, oh, we have a story gap. Oh boy, that's a problem. That's I think something that you should explore definitely in your stuff. But I know you got this. That's kind of where I would start, because then if you know where the gap is, you can fill in other exercises to close that gap. So I hope that's helpful. Yeah, 3 hours is hard. There's always so much to cover. I'm with you. Let me know how that goes. But I'm sure it'll rock, and I look forward, Kay, to hearing how it went. So let me know. All right. Thank you for the question. Juan, sup, my friend, mi amigo. Things are great. Things are things are moving here. It's been a kind of a crazy time with the book launch. I don't do these to talk about the book, but I will give just a really brief update. The print-on-demand version is supposed to be up on Amazon next week. Yay! And by the end of next week, I think the Kindle. So we're targeting like the 26th-ish to get it done. We had a little bit of a problem, and this is where it gets very unscientific. I wish I had more data. What happens is you go to a proof stage with Amazon Print on Demand, and then they send you a proof back. And we got the proof back yesterday, and there was misalignments with the margins. So we have to go back now and fix some of that so that when people do order the print version, it's not all screwed up. I mean, I'm an improviser, but that's not the message that I want people to have, you know. So we had to fix the margins and things like that a little bit and then resubmit. So it causes a little bit of a delay. So these things are a little bit unscientific in Amazon, and that makes it hard to say, hey, the launch is going to be this date, because it's sort of a moving soft target. And so we have to have a little cushion. So I am looking for things to be finalized by next week, print, and then end of next week, I think that the Kindle version. But we are putting an emphasis on the print-on-demand version because I've already had some pre-orders for some workshops that I'm giving for the printed copy. So I had to focus on that first. That's kind of the short answer. But Kay, do let me know how it goes. I'm sure it'll be great. Let me know what people in the banking industry are kind of struggling with. I sort of have a preconception about what that might be, but every bank's a little bit different. Some banks are amazingly on top of it. And then I will tell you that I've worked with some credit unions, and credit unions are so bad sometimes and behind. Not all, but I have seen where credit unions are trying to attract millennial money, and the messages they put out are like really like, boomer-ish, and they're disconnected from the millennial money that they want to attract. So that's that kind of exploration of a disconnect and a story gap. I call it a story gap between where you are and where you want to be and where you want to reach. That's an important big aha for senior executives, because a lot of times they just don't think about it. All right. Juan is asking, how do you manage the creation of promotional content versus fun informational content? That is a great question. And I'm going to give you a very unscientific answer. Kathy, answer. I don't know that I have a heuristic that I can give you, but what I would say is I take risks and I just try things and I see what works. And I start from a place of, even if it's informational content, it doesn't have to be boring. See, the book is Stop Boring Me. See that right there? That's about as pimpy as I'm going to get. Woo, woo, woo. I really believe that even with informational content, Juan, we don't have to be boring. The packaging and delivery does not have to be boring. And that's sort of that was the genesis for the book. So I think that even when you're really trying hard to inform people, the way that you tell the story can be fun. So I don't think they're at odds with each other. I don't think it's an either informational or fun. I really fundamentally believe the two can go hand in hand. In fact, speaking of banking, I'll give you this example because we're talking about banking. There was a company, and this is really bad that I want to say, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the bank right now. I'm going to have to go look at my notes, but I wrote a post about humor in the banking industry that was published by Convince and Convert blog. You can go look it up. And I found this example of a company that created a workbook targeting families so that they could establish financial literacy with their kids. And it was a fun, like, coloring book, workbook, just a fun cartoon book. And it was published by a major bank. And what they were trying to do is they recognized that they would lose millennials if they didn't communicate their message differently. It was highly informative. It was highly downloaded. They wouldn't give me exact numbers. I tried. But they did tell me that huge downloads, huge interaction on social media, and they actually got new clients out of it. So what it did is it said, look, we are a bank that's willing to try to communicate differently with millennials. But it was this coloring book, kind of financial literacy thing for families. And it worked really, really well. And so well that I can't remember the name of the company, but for them it worked well. Sorry, I've been writing so much lately that everything merges in Kathy's head. But it was a really good example of how to blend the two to be not boring and fun, but really highly informational and sticky. And I don't think you have to choose. That's kind of the short answer. Don't be afraid to experiment. I really, really encourage people. I think the biggest thing that we talk about in content marketing is, oh, take risks, take risks. But the problem is then you go out and you talk with companies and they still want to be in their little place of playing it safe and afraid to take risks. And I don't think you can afford that anymore. There's too much content. There's not enough mind share. Everybody's overloaded. And most content is garbage because it's really super boring and it doesn't add value. And it's self-serving for the companies. So I really think that you cannot afford to continue to pump out mindlessly all this content that's self-serving. That's really my message. So I hope that's a good example for you. But it's a great question, Juan. Thank you. Alfredo, the bank industry is struggling with social media. You know, it's interesting. Yeah. And part of it is, here's Alfredo, it's a great question. Hey, Jesse, yay, shout out. I'm Jesse's girl. I'm not going to say Rick Springfield, but I am Jesse's girl. She's my bud. All right. The banking industry is struggling with it. And I get this all the time. People say to me, oh, well, it's compliance issues, Kathy. We can't do this because of compliance. Like, I get it. I've had banking clients and I've worked with financial institutions that were very conservative. And there are strict compliance issues. In the medical field, you deal with HIPAA. And there are certain legal strictures in place about what you can and cannot do and say and all these things. I get it. But that's an excuse. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm going to wipe that off the table. Every time I get a banking person that says to me, well, you know, we're special and we have, you know, these compliance issues. Well, get over it, because every industry, you're not the only industry that has regulations, that's heavily regulated and has compliance issues. And that's still not an excuse. You can be informative. You can be helpful. You can have a voice that is crisp and fun and educational. And that has nothing to do with compliance issues. Your share of voice, your voice, and how you present information has nothing to do with compliance. I'm not telling you to go against compliance and give away certain information and break the law. Not at all. But the way that you package the information you can talk about matters. And that information does not have to be given in a boring fashion, because that is just straight up bullshit. That is bullshit. BS, I said it. So every time I get that answer from a banking person, and believe me, I've heard it, I feel like it's the banking version of the dog ate my homework, and I just go, that's it, timeout, go to your timeout corner, banking executive. And when you're ready, you could come out of that timeout corner. But that's kind of how I want to say that, because one has nothing to do with the other. So that to me, I don't accept it. And there are plenty of examples of banks that are doing really innovative things. Like I say, you can go to convinceandconvert.com and you can Google my page, and I have an article there on humor and levity in the banking world, and it's there. So don't, and the other thing is too, don't be stuck by, I think sometimes we get in a mindset, it's a great question, thank you. Because we get in a mindset of we have to follow a template that somebody else has done. And I say no. The beauty about social media is to invent your own template. You know, look at what other people have done and then take that and go one up that and innovate on that. If you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're kind of lost in that sameness and that sea of sameness. So don't feel stuck there. Go innovate. Take that and go, that's a springboard for some new inspiration, and then go beyond that. So that's a really, long answer for you, but Alfredo's a great question. You're welcome, Juan. Thank you for, happy to give you an answer, because that was a brilliant question. Thank you for the really, really great question, Juan. Oh my gosh. All right. Alfredo, here is a Bank of America social media push. Yeah. That's a really great example. That's a really good example. Thank you for sharing that. You don't have to be boring. That's the thing. There's no excuse for being boring in the way you deliver it. I see plenty of boring industries, but they don't have to be boring. And I wrote a post not too long ago because I did a blab, and this woman was brave enough to come on the blab, and her company creates bed sheet fitters. They take those sheets and make sure that, when you're putting one corner of the bed sheet on, the other corner doesn't pop up and they stay in place. And she came on, she was brave enough to sort of ask her question, and we kind of brainstormed, and, it's a bed sheet fitter. That's not going to light the world on fire, but think of all the complementary products you could talk about, and the sheets and this and that and the other thing. You could anthropomorphize that product. And if bedsheet fitters were a person, what kind of personality would they have? What would their day look like? A day in the life. You could put that bedsheet fitter and take pictures of it in different places, like the flamingo, and you could sort of have an Instagram account of your bedsheet fitter in all these crazy places. You could do a top 5 puns around sheets, complementary products, like, 3 sheets, to the wind, and that's a lot of bullshit. You could do all these fun-based posts. And we brainstormed about 5 or 6 ideas, and she was really happy because I really firmly believe, and I know in my heart, that no matter what your industry is, you may have a boring industry, but your content doesn't need to be. There's no excuse. It just takes a little bit of creativity and thinking differently about it. But there's always a way to come at it with fresh eyes. So if you guys ever want to brainstorm examples too, that's what this Ask Kathy Anything is for. I'm happy to brainstorm with you. Some top level things. But great examples. Thank you for the questions. Really, really super questions. You guys are thinking of some major things, and every time I do this, the questions are just superb, so thank you. Of the folks that I have here, I posed a question earlier, and I'd like to know, what do you think about like an all video newsletter? Like getting rid of, not getting rid of maybe altogether, but what if you received like a video every week and it wasn't text? What do you think about that? I'm exploring that, and I'm sort of, in my head, I'm thinking about ways to innovate what I do. And text works for me, but I also think we're living in a video world, of course. And if video can be more dynamic and help explain concepts, I'm all for it. So if you have strong feelings about a video newsletter, I would love to hear from you, yay or nay, or, whatever. It's just something that's percolating for me, and I'm kind of curious to see if that's something that would be of interest to all of you. So thank you for that. Juan says, talk about banks. The other day, a friend that works in one did a presentation with a story format, and it was a success. At the end, when other groups were presenting, they related their presentation with the character she created. I'm writing a piece about the episode. I would love to see that. When you finish writing that, Juan, please share it with me. I would love it. And I would be happy to share your piece across my social media. I'd be happy to do that. I'd be happy to share that. I love it. Well, I'm a storyteller. I came out of banking. We're talking about banking, so my head is thinking banking. I came out of high tech, and my job was, I was a senior director of marketing, and my job was communications and branding and all that stuff. So I've always been a storyteller, and I believe stories better than anything else connect. I know this to be true. And on the comedy side, I've been doing comedy for 20 years. Comedy is all storytelling. It's just all storytelling. And so stories with a very strong character that people can relate to work really, really well. So I love that you shared that, Juan. Please do share your piece. That would be awesome. In fact, you can go back later if you want to share your piece here. That would be super. I'd love to see that and share that out. Yay! The video idea is cool. They say that video is going to rule content. I think it is. I think it already is, because people have short attention spans, and hello, I'm queen of that. We're all busy people, and I run a business. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I am a comedian. I travel. I write. And every one of you listening today has multiple roles. You're busy people. You're all busy people. And I think that we all have that busy framework that we're struggling with. And Mindshare is always an issue. And I do believe that if you can come across in video well, that video works for you. But I'm also a believer that whatever medium you use, it should match your personality and your style. So if you're dynamic, use video. If you write well, by all means, use writing. Whatever media suits you, whatever medium makes you pop, I really think it's important to use that. Alfredo, video is expensive to maintain. For example, Spreecast shutting down. Yeah, and Blab. Blab, that broke my heart when Blab shut down. And they did it in such a, it was like you got dumped, but you never got closure as to why. It's like, I was a good girlfriend. I visited you every day. I called you. I sent you flowers. And you just left me without any kind of closure. Didn't tell me you loved me. That's kind of how it felt with Blab. I felt like, that was just horrible. That's a horrible way to do it. It is expensive. And one of the things that Blab said, Alfredo, is that Blab said that people weren't coming back for the replays. People were creating a lot of new content. So they were having to bear the burden and the expense of being a hosted video producing site with all the expensive equipment, because video is a bandwidth hog. You're absolutely right. It's expensive. But people, they said, were not coming back for the replays. And when you think about it, that's kind of true. I know that I would download my videos and I would edit them and then put them on YouTube and other places, owned properties like my website and YouTube. And I think that's probably true. So, but I do think video is something that we can't avoid it. It's really important. It's a powerful way to get your message across. And this is where I think being a risk taker pays dividends. You should explore different formats and find what works for you. I think that's really, there's no single answer. If long form works well, if you got great content, video works well if you've got something to say and you've got a personality and it lends itself well to video. Just explore, find what works for you. And I think honestly, today is the day we should all experiment. Hi, Kassar, how are you? How are you? Oh, thanks for saying that. Looking superb. I'll take that. Thank you. Because my bangs can't decide which side of my head they want to land on. This morning, it looked like they wanted to go this way. And then later today, it looks like they want to go this way. So my bangs are like about to stage a coup on top of my head. And I don't know who's winning. So it's like, I got up this morning and it was like, oh God, which way is my hair gonna part? And it just kind of did its own thing. And I was like, okay. So thank you for that. That's nice to hear. Okay. I prefer to read articles and transcripts. Okay. Yeah. I do too. I will always read good long form content. And I think you're probably a lot like me, Kay, because we're both marketers and we consume a lot of content and we create a lot of content. I do, but I also think it's important to experiment with different types of media, like I say, and to find your zen. So I think it's important. I want to do some video stuff and some long form. I'm also a writer. I came out of storytelling and branding, as you guys know, in tech, and I manage teams of marketers. So I'm a big writer. So I do a lot of writing, and people say, God, you create a lot of content. I do. But I also think it's important to take some of that text content that you have, everybody, and transform it to video. So write something once, publish many, get leverage. Jay Baer calls it atomizing your content, and it's a beautiful, beautiful word. Atomize your content. Take that one blog post, turn it into a podcast, then turn it into a video cast, and then make sure the video also has a transcript so you get all the good SEO juice. So write once, publish many, and that's how you get some marketing multiplier effect for the great content that you're creating. So that's something that I like to do. That's a great question. Hey, oh my gosh, Rangild, how are you? How you doing? Oh my gosh, good to see you all the way from Sweden, right? Oh my gosh, thank you. It's good to have you here. Kassar, I'm glad you're good. Yeah, Juan, do you want to give me a word and I'll do a 185? Yeah, give me a word. On my wall, I think I put tech nerds, but let's play a round of 185. Let's do that. You got a word for me? And I can't promise, again, I like big puns, but I don't know, it depends on the word. But yeah, give me a word. Okay. Well, I'm waiting for somebody to give me a word. Feel free. Okay. Alfredo, I'll get to banana in a second. That's a great word. Alfredo, you don't have to be. If you're not a good writer, pick the medium. Pick the medium that works for you. I'm a big believer. Can you answer questions about coding to help people? And if you can do that, use video. Create a video. Use it's Camtasia, and there's other programs that are screen grab and capture. And then you could do screen share kind of videos on how-to videos that are very helpful. The most searched words in YouTube, how-to. So maybe you could create some how-to videos. So if you're not a writer, don't let that hold you back. Don't let that hold you back. Create great content around video or infographics. I have friends that cannot write, but they are some of the most beautiful artists I've ever seen. So create an infographic or create an image or, create whatever, but you don't have to do just text. I'm a text girl, but I'm trying to move into a video world. Kassar, well, that's very sweet. Thank you. Yeah, this is me on a normal caffeinated day. So, yeah. If I have any more caffeine, you're gonna see my legs because my head will be on the ceiling. All right, banana. I promised. Let's do it. Let's do a 185 with banana. All right, here we go. All right, 185 bananas walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "I'm sorry, we do not serve bananas here." And the 185 bananas say, "We'd like to appeal that decision." Zing, zing. That's pretty bad. 185 bananas walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "I'm sorry, we do not serve bananas here." And the 185 bananas say, "Oh, sorry, our slip up." So, all right, Kay, you got one. All right. Another slip one. Yep, you slipped up here. Nice. And slip is one of those things you have to. As a comedian, I think I'm morally and legally obligated by profession to have a slip pun in there with banana peel. So that's kind of how that works. I like that. Good one. You guys can play along too. The other thing about 185 I really love is that it's very, very dynamic. So, if you guys have a finish to the pun, type your little answers here. You got another one? I'll take another example other than banana. I think slip and appeal are probably the main ones for that. There's probably more. Quit monkeying around. And the 185 bananas say, "Quit monkeying around." So if anybody has another one, I'm happy to do one more if you guys got it. And you guys can play along too. Don't feel like you can't type your answers in there. And I know it's a little bit of pausing and waiting for everybody to get their little typing fingers in there. I don't know why I do it like this. This is my little typing finger thing. It's like I want an emoji with just like this. I think that would be good. It'd save me a lot of time. If you're up for it, anybody got another suggestion, another word suggestion? We'll do another 185. But I don't want to come up with it because then it looks like I'm in improv. We take audience suggestions. Improvisers don't come up with their own suggestions. So if you've got one, I'll take it. No? All right. Juan, what do you got? This bar will never have a fruit cocktail ever again. Yeah. That's it, man. Think of all those fruit puns. And the reason, it goes without saying, that I love 185 so much and a lot of these improv games is that they're just so good for mind mapping and expanding your creative juices and getting, the team ready. If you're in a team meeting and you're brainstorming, it gets that stuff all going. Let's see. All right. Oh, chopsticks. Okay, chopsticks. All right, let's try that. 185 chopsticks walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "I'm sorry, we do not serve chopsticks here." And the 185 chopsticks say, "Well, that is an unfortunate set of circumstances. Unfortunate cookie." I got to think that one through a little bit. That's what happens when you do live 185. That's an misfortune cookie. I think that's what the punchline should be. That's a misfortune cookie. There you go. Something along those lines. What else with chopsticks? And the 185 chopsticks say, "Well, we'll just egg roll on out of here." There you go. Something like that. The beauty about improv is that sometimes you don't know where the brain's going to go, where the brain and the mouth will sync up. And usually it does somewhere. And then afterwards, just as you're about to blurt it out, the punchline sort of comes. But I would probably say, well, that's a misfortunate cookie, something like that. All right, Kassar, what advice would you give to people who are not using social media or Facebook? Wow. Part of me envies them because their life is probably simpler. So I think part of me feels a little jealous. I think it depends on why they want to use it or what they think they're missing. If they're not using social media for a specific reason, then I don't know that I would want to talk them into it. I'll give you an example. I have people in my world, friends that specifically will get off social media and not use it a couple of days a week. That way they can get more done because they feel that social media is a distraction. And I agree with that. Social media can be a huge distraction. So they purposefully sequester themselves and they pick a couple of days a week to avoid social media, but that's because they're in execution mode and they're trying to get stuff done. So it works for them. But people who just shun social media altogether, they may have their reasons. If they're running a business, you can't afford to not be on social media. You have to use social media. So the question then becomes I would say if they are looking to expand their reach and to grow and to meet different people, and when you're a small business, it's all about marketing multiplier effect because you're constrained in time and money and resources. So how can you scale and get the most for your time? And that's social media. Social media is a way to expand your reach. If they have a good reason for staying off it, I'm not going to talk them out of it. But if they really want to do more to expand their reach, then social media is a great way to do that. It's a cost-effective way. It's not free because it's your time, but it can be a cost-effective way. And it's also money on tools, but it can be a cost-effective way to do it. And the Chopsticks say, "Kay, what China do?" I like that. I like that. And the Chopsticks say, "We'll just go to Panda Express." All right. And the Chopsticks said, "You're boring as rice." There you go. All those work. All those. What are you rice cooking up? I like that. Those are all good puns. Those are all very, very good puns. I'm liking it. All right, everybody. I'll take a final question, unless nobody has any. But this is fun. You guys always have great questions. And I want to do a little bit of these Ask Kathy Anythings. I really want to make it your time to ask whatever is percolating for you. Make it of use to you because I serve you. You're the audience. And also make it fun. So we want to have a blend of fun, kind of improv, and information. Again, stop boring me. You don't have to present good information in a boring way. I have never believed that even great information has to be boring. There's no marketing code of ethics that says the commandments of marketing, thou shalt be boring. No, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So that's really a mindset issue. There you go. Rangil says, "I've actually got hired to do storytelling workshops just because of my presence on Twitter." Yeah, absolutely. Totally. I agree. People find me on Twitter. People see my videos. I think the thing that's worked well for me is a lot of my pieces. I publish a lot of places. I speak a lot of places. So people get to know me from my content. So I really believe I'm with you. Don't avoid social media. Just have a strategy for it. It's okay to try things, but then have a strategy for it. So thank you everybody for joining. Juan, so good to have you. Thanks so much. Go take care of yourself. Have a great weekend. Feliz de fin de semana. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. That's my time, everybody. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. Oh, have I ever done improv? Well, oh my gosh. Oh, do you not know that? I spent 20 years doing comedy. So I ran branding and marketing in high tech, and for 20 years I've been doing comedy. So yes, I've ever done improv. That's my world. I actually started in stand-up right out of college in sketch, and I studied sketch at Second City. And then I went and did comedy sports for years and years and years, and I studied at Bay Area Theater Sports, and all these different places, and I've been doing comedy for 20 years. So yes, I still do improv, and I do improv usually about 4 times a month, about every weekend. So, oh yeah. This book, Stop Boring Me, is really a blend of my business world experience with the comedy experience that I have for 20 years. Oh, you do know? Okay, I wasn't sure. Have you ever done improv? So that I wasn't sure. It sounded like maybe that part of my background wasn't clear. But have I done improv with researchers? Yes, I have. Yes, I have done improv with researchers. It's interesting. But it's fun. I've done improv with branding teams. I've done improv with marketers. I've done improv with engineers. I'm married to a very brilliant technical person, and he thinks very technically. So I've done it with researchers. Yes, it is very interesting. It's very interesting. Because they think differently, but I think sometimes they're misjudged. But introverts and very deeply left brain thinkers think about improv differently. And so the way that I always work with researchers is I don't force my language on them. I don't care if they understand all the improv terms. It doesn't matter to them. They don't give a crap, and they shouldn't have to. I come into their world. I need to know their language. And so I adopt their language, and I just let them have fun and be themselves. So working with researchers, though, is a lot of fun because I find that they're playful. They're really playful. I think they're misunderstood and mischaracterized, but they're very deeply playful. And working with researchers and engineers and seeing these scientific brilliant minds become playful little kids is just so much fun. Because behind every scientific mind is a child, an inner child that's full of wonder. That's why they became researchers and scientists, to answer the big questions. And so there's a playful child in everybody. There's a playful child in everybody. So it's a really great question. Thank you. Sorry, Ringild, I couldn't tell if and sometimes with text it's like, it was like, oh, maybe it wasn't clear about my improv background, but there you go. Okay. Great question. Thank you. Kasar, your daughter says hi. Oh, well, hi back. Tell her I said hello. Tell her I said hello. And, all the best. All the best. Take care to you, Kasar. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you. And say hi to your daughter. Oh, Renee. Good to see you. Good to see you. We are just wrapping up. All these good questions. You guys are deep thinkers on a Friday. You think you're going to kind of skirt into your weekend and all these really wonderful, lovely questions. Man, you guys get me thinking. Every time I walk away from one of these, I get more ideas from I'm inspired by you guys and all your brilliant questions and all your excitement and enthusiasm and super, super excited. And I'm humbled. Thank you so much, everybody. I gotta wrap up and I gotta get on to my next appointment, but thanks so much. Next Friday, again, same time, 10 a.m. PDT Pacific, we'll answer your questions, whatever they may be. I'll sing. We'll do 185. We'll have fun. We'll get serious and we'll solve some storytelling questions. No, thank you, Raingild, for being here. Thank you so much. I'm so, so glad you made it. And I know you're out in Sweden. Like, hello, commitment. If I get to Sweden, which I will someday, I've never been, I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you, girl. I would love to go. And I know you're keeping it real and doing all this beautiful, lovely storytelling work there. And I'm so honored that you showed up and shared your brilliance here today. All right, everybody. We will see you next Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care. All right. Bye.